I'm with John Rumble from Hertfordshire County Council. John, as a practitioner in the field and an environmental planning advisor, April the 7th is coming up very quickly. How do you think it's going to go? Is the glass half full or half empty?
It's a good question. It has to be half full, doesn't it? Because if it was half empty, we'd all be worrying. It's going to be tricky. It's going to be difficult, but ultimately we'll make it work.
Muddle through in the usual English way?
I suspect we're all going to be learning for the first few months. We're all going to be working out how to actually engage with each other. From my point of view, brand new statutory consultee with the local planning authorities, we think. And therefore getting that communication right, getting the right messages across is going to be quite critical. And we'll see how it goes.
Okay. And what are the right messages that we need to get across?
Speaking from my own point of view, I think what we want to do is we want to make sure that this is not just business as usual, that what we do see is a sea change in terms of both the level of delivery for, let's call it water sensitive urban design, but sustainable drainage systems, but also that it's consistent, and that what we can do is get both the development industry, the local planning authorities on board and get them to understand what we really need to try and deliver to get those better urban environments, better management of water.
Okay. And are there any resource issues that you see or resource constraints that you see at the moment?
Coming from a local government, you'd expect me to say there's always a resource constraint. And I think where we are at the moment is we're not entirely sure what that is. We're not entirely sure how long it's going to take us to do things. We're not entirely sure what we'll be able to do. But certainly from my perspective, we're one of those fortunate authorities that have been thinking about this for the last 4 years. We've got some resources in place. They may be enough, they may not be enough. And we'll have to see, and we'll have to both develop our own staff and our own capability. But if we need more, then we're bidding for more resources.
But those sort of things will take time to get into place. In the short term, are we going to see hold-ups on things and things being put back because resource not being available?
The standard answer is there will be no hold-ups. We will deliver on time, we will deliver to our best capability. We will make sure it works because we can't hold up the development system.
Okay, so the danger possibly that things get put through to meet time deadlines which perhaps shouldn't be put through, or if you had more time to look at them would be scrutinised more carefully?
I think in due course we'll get better at it. It'll be a slicker, more efficient operation. For us, I would hope nothing slips through. I can't promise that because it's a new system. What we're keen to avoid is major mistakes.
Right.
We keep sitting there thinking, there will be times when we don't get it 100% right. What I would say is there's a whole bunch of different people involved in this, the local planning authorities, the lead local flood authorities, and actually the key thing here is getting everybody thinking about this, scrutinising the decisions and getting the developers on board and their advisors on board so we get the right results. What's going to cause us a problem is if we're having to fight for results.
Yeah.
If we get the right approach, we can get the hearts and minds early, we get the early engagement, we're able to support that, and we get the right delivery and the right approach to the planning phase, it's easier than if we're having to fight for solutions.
Okay. And if assuming we get them right and we get them in place and so on and so forth, there's this issue of maintenance and so on. How do we ensure that the right systems are put in place and then they're maintained to make them work?
I suppose I would say from my point of view, the good news for me is that's a matter for the local planning authority.
Okay.
I think it's going to be a challenge, particularly looking at longer term issues and making sure you've got security of a sustainable approach to maintenance and operation. I think as I've learned, these things aren't new. When I looked in Hertfordshire, someone actually showed me a SUD system that had been put in the 1500s, and it still works because it mimicked natural systems. And if we can get that, then actually maintenance shouldn't be a big issue. My concern is if we get overly complex systems that require heavy maintenance, that are dependent upon a high degree of interaction on a regular basis, is where we may have problems.
Right.
I suppose it's my job to try and ensure that the planning authorities are given that advice and that we avoid those types of systems, except where absolutely necessary.
Okay. Good. John, thanks very much indeed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.